Spoilers ahead.
Captain America Brave New World began filming March of 2023. At the time, it was announced to be titled Captain America New World Order. That soon changed, however, once they realized that there were some concerns amongst the more politically minded, hitting a little too close to home for some modern-day conspiracy theorists. Personally, and more egregiously, I felt that this was more of a reference to a, let's say, not well-received storyline from the not-too-distant past.
Hail Hydra.
Fun Easter egg at the time, especially if you think of it as a way of poking fun at the comic book, which was stupid. But don't you dare fucking do it. What a fucking disgrace. Not only to the entire concept of Captain America and his fans, but to Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, two young Jewish Americans during the reign of Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany in the 40s, create a hero to face down the terror of fascism and save the Jewish people from the fucking... At the time of filming, the script was already done, so the writer's strike wasn't thought to really be a major concern, and by the time any tweaks and reshoots were needed, the strike would be done. Now, listen, do we really believe that an MCU script was done?
To the no.
But there's no proof to the contrary, so we have to take their word for it. At the end of June of 2023, they wrap principal production. Fast forward to today, February 25, a year and a half later. Why so long, you may ask? Well, that would be because it didn't test well. So, in response, they cut huge portions of the film. Rewrites, reshoots, retaking out loans to pay for this monstrosity of a $180 million, my ass! You're telling me that they cut huge portions of the film, rewrites, reshoots, retaking out loans to pay for this monstrosity of the film over the course of a fucking year and a half, and it only... Pair all that time, effort, and money up with the fact that Anthony Mackie's performance thus far as Falcon, barring a show we won't talk about, has been good, and the fact that I've never had a problem with Falcon, at least temporarily, taking over the mantle of Captain America, and the fact that Harrison Ford is both my favorite actor and my favorite American president.
Get off my plane.
There is absolutely no excuse for this film to not be, at the very least, average. So, bearing all of that in mind, we can now answer the question just how good, or bad, was Captain America Brave New World? Well, not good. It was definitely below average. It just wasn't a good film. That isn't to say that it can't be enjoyed, and it certainly isn't the worst film that Marvel has released. It was certainly better than Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the show that, in theory, set this film up.
You've got to do better, Senator.
To its benefit, however, besides a handful of characters and their very thinly defined characterizations, the show is mostly ignored. They even changed the fact that his suit and weaponry is all Stark tech, and have made it clear that it has all been redesigned with vibranium and provided to him by Wakanda as a gift. Remember this. It causes a major problem with the film. Ultimately, though, it stank. A big old vat of Tony Stank.
Are you Tony Stank?
But why was it not good? How was it bad? Well, how much time do you have? Let's start off with a positive, shall we? Mackie's performance is on par with his other performances in the MCU. And I really like his chemistry with the two characters brought over from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Joaquin Torres, the new Falcon, and Isaiah Bradley, a super soldier from the Korean War, and Sam's now pseudo-mentor. Unfortunately, the film doesn't use that chemistry to further their characters or relationships. It all turns out to just be shallow and superficial. There is little to no character work done at all within this film. Honestly, Harrison Ford's Ross had the most development, ever so slightly fleshing out his relationship with Betty, his daughter, which is surprising because Harrison Ford is notoriously only in it for the paychecks at this point.
Show me the money.
Don't let my compliments to Mackie's portrayal of Sam Wilson's Captain America fool you, however. While I find the use of his Falcon gear, skills, and experience innovative and something worth exploring, the film's execution is poor. The film opens with Ross, now President of the United States, in a press conference, addressing the giant celestial corpse sitting in the middle of the Indian Ocean, totally ignored by all of the world up until this point. He announces that because of the reoccurrence of these types of threats, he is brokering a treaty with the world's major governments, including Japan. We cut to Sam, assaulting a compound that has been taken over by Sidewinder, a supervillain from the comics, played here by Giancarlo Esposito. This film's biggest sin was not having him wear his snake costume.
Get out of my way!
As I said before, watching Sam incorporate the shield into his previously established fighting style was fun to watch. You can get really creative with it, and a lot of it you can explain him being able to do because of his tech. Sure, it won't all turn out good, and you're sure to have some misfires. But at least it shows you tried. As it is, the filmmakers constantly fell back into Steve Rogers' fighting style. Sam can't do that. He's not a super soldier, not to mention he's his own person. He doesn't have super strength, so he won't be punching cinder blocks off of walls and swinging them around like they're nothing. And he certainly won't be going toe-to-toe with Ross's Hulk. This was a chance to get creative, and you blew it! And speaking of blowing it, the CGI. There is no excuse for the shield to look so fake. How long has Marvel been animating this thing being used? Shouldn't they have perfected it by now? Especially since they're having Sam fight with it the same exact way that Steve would? I mean, I could comb through and pick out some more examples if need be.
Ross, we both know you can take me out with one punch, but I don't think you want to do that.
But do you really need me to? At least it's not Quantumania.
Surprised to see me?
Remember earlier in this video when I said I'd come back to Sam's gear no longer being Stark tech, but rather a gift from Wakanda, using their tech and vibranium? Now seems like a good time to come back to that. It's a problem. Why is it a problem? Well, you see, Stark's Iron Man suits have been established to hold up decently against the Hulk, Thanos, explosions from large missiles, things of that nature. Black Panther's suit has not. As a matter of fact, Steve's shield, made of vibranium, was cut to pieces by a younger Thanos with no Infinity Stones and a really big sword. Sure, Sam's new suit absorbs energy like Black Panther's, but T'Challa has the power of the Black Panther coursing through him, which makes him more than human, unlike Stark. It is established at this point, albeit not explicitly, as far as I know, that Stark's suits were designed in a way to shield his non-superhuman body from the major impacts he was constantly receiving. On top of that, we've never seen Black Panther take a punch from the Hulk. This is a problem. He may not be getting pierced by anything anytime soon. But his body inside that suit should be jello. Just another reason why the filmmakers should have taken the opportunity to give Sam his own fighting style. Now, getting back on track, Cap and Falcon have ruined Sidewinder's plan of selling a mysterious stolen package to a mysterious buyer, a mission given to them by President Ross, who is hesitant to use Sam due to their past.
You're the good cop now?
Because of their retrieval of the package, which turns out to have been stolen from the Japanese government, the two of them are invited to an event at the White House. Because Isaiah is Sam's mentor, and Sam is trying to build Isaiah's trust in the government back up in order to bring him into the light so he can be recognized for his past heroics, Sam gets him an invite and drags him, albeit reluctantly, along.
Pledge allegiance to that, my brother.
Whew. Did you get all that? At the event, Ross and Sam have a conversation where they attempt to mend their strained relationship. Ross even goes as far as to ask Sam to reestablish the Avengers. This is a strange turn for Ross, who is notoriously hard-headed, and while I can believe that he could and would grow as a person, as all good characters should, even to the point where he would want this, his demeanor is bizarrely not gruff. It may not seem like a huge deal, but give me a minute. It'll make sense why I mention it. During the event, Ross gets up and gives a speech about a treaty he's brokering with the world's nations.
Do you get deja vu?
Turns out that celestial corpse sitting in the Indian Ocean, well, he's made out of a new material. A material so valuable.
The metal is an alloy called adamantium.
It made me come.
You might want to look away for this.
While the lifelong nerd in me continued to celebrate the MCU's official introduction of adamantium, the film decided to go off the rails. Thinking back, I probably should have recognized the wreckage when they just revealed that Wolverine is made up of the corpse of one of the MCU's biggest misfires. And also during the speech, Isaiah and several other members of the audience opened fire on Ross.
Distributed around the world. No nation will be left behind. Sit down.
No. Your audio is working. I just don't know what to say. They are clearly mind-controlled. This is signified by the flickering lights and the loudspeakers randomly playing Mr. Blue Sky, and also the fact that the film would never let Isaiah be a ruthless murderer, and we all fucking know it.
Pledge allegiance to that, my brother.
So, let's talk about a couple things. First, let's look at the layout of the room and the placement of the people inside. In the front row, from left to right, are an unknown male, the Japanese president, Sam, Joaquin, Isaiah, and then 4 additional people to his right. My right. Your left. His left, my, and your right.
There was 1 shot at Mr. Body in the study, 2 for the chandelier, 2 at the lounge door, and 1 for the singing telegram.
That's not 6.
1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1.
There's 4 more fucking people. At the end of that row, about 1.5 to 2 feet beyond the last person, there is a Secret Service agent standing against the wall. I won't attempt to guess the distance, as I don't want to be accused of making things up. What I will say is that Isaiah is at least the width of 5 individuals away from the Secret Service agent. Add on to that the visibly significant amount of room between each individual's chair, and you have quite a distance between the two.
There was only 1 shot that got the chandelier. That's 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Even if you were right, that would be 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1, not 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1.
Okay, fine. 1 plus 2 plus 1. Shut up!
In the frame before Isaiah turns, you can clearly see the Secret Service agent standing against the far wall in a wide shot. The camera then snaps in closer to Isaiah, who, over the course of 2 seconds, stands up, takes 1 step, and begins a 2nd step in the direction of the Secret Service agent. The camera switches angles again to show the Secret Service agent mid-step and within arm's length of Isaiah, who immediately restrains the agent and pulls his service weapon from his holster, his shoulder holster. Okay, film, okay. Let's pretend that a Secret Service agent in the modern day would utilize a leather shoulder holster with no retention. And I'll accept that a super soldier would be able to quickly restrain and disarm a Secret Service agent in the modern day who would utilize a leather shoulder holster with no retention in a matter of seconds. What I cannot accept, film, super soldier or not, is that 2 average-sized men could each take 1.5 steps towards each other and traverse that distance. This isn't about speed, the time doesn't matter. I only reference it to show that I am hyper-focusing on the details. You may be saying to yourself that this is so small and insignificant, but I ask you, what would it have cost them to take an additional second or two and show the two men take a couple extra steps towards each other? After all, Isaiah grabbing the gun is a pretty significant event and arguably what sets the film's plot in motion. The way this is shot is jarring. Even if you don't analyze it, it just feels off from the get-go. It looks funny. It was either an editing oversight or just laziness. Neither is acceptable in such an expensive and time-consuming project. It's just something else to throw on the pile with the shitty S.H.I.E.L.D. CGI. But if you just can't accept that this strangely shot scene is an issue, let's also consider the fact that Isaiah is somehow primed to be activated by this brainwashing, despite the fact that he is only here as a last-minute favor to Sam. How does the villain know who will be here and who will not? It would be a real shame if everyone he selected to assassinate the president that night decided to just stay home and watch Fear Factor reruns.
Cow's blood.
Oh, but that's right. The film, as clever as it is, has an answer to that, which I will get to in a second.
Today, I'm going to explain everything you need to know about blue balls.
Before I do, however, let me circle back to my point about Ross acting out of character. Once the assassination attempt fails, Sam confronts him and asks him for his permission to investigate the attempt. Obviously, he wants to clear Isaiah's name, but, and I agree, Ross denies this request, stating that Sam is just too close. Sam presses the issue slightly, citing Ross's recent request for him to restart the Avengers, and Ross snaps back that offer expired with his friend attempting to murder him.
He's out of line, but he's right.
My issue with this is the tonal whiplash. We know that he's going to turn into the Red Hulk, so I guess we'll just have to write it off as a result of whatever eventually causes that. It just isn't executed in a way that feels natural. That's all I'm saying. So we come to it. The villain.
We're in the end game now.
Throughout the film, we have seen glimpses of this shadowed figure, always in this red-tinted lab, being held captive by a military man that occasionally contacts Ross to update him on the prisoner. Well, as it turns out, after Hulk and Abomination's battle in New York, during the events of the film The Incredible Hulk, I'm not kidding. A team of soldiers, led by none other than Sidewinder himself, recovers a man named Samuel Stearns. You remember Samuel Stearns, don't you? Of course not. Well, I do, so here you go. I bet you didn't see that coming. Samuel Stearns, aka the leader, and the corpse of a Celestial stranded in the middle of the Indian Ocean. All in one film. Holy! Anyway, as it turns out, after his accident, Stearns became so smart that he was now able to predict every possible outcome of everything everywhere at all times, including the entirety of the multiverse. I'm looking at you, post-credits scene. As well as create some of the most useful and fantastic weapons and technology known to all of life. For the next 16-some years, Ross kept Stearns locked up, promising to release him if he helped Ross get elected to the office of the president. And all of this comes to light when Sam and Joaquin uncover his secret prison laboratory, only moments after he manages to break free. After 16 years. Boy, that's convenient.
Do not understand.
I do.
Why did he wait 16 years before enacting a plan to escape or for revenge? Why not at 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Hell, he knows everything everywhere always. Why wait at all? Needless to say, Stearns gets the jump on Captain Falcon and using mind-controlled soldiers is able to easily escape. But not all is lost, as Cap discovers a stash of pills that look suspiciously like a medication that we have seen Ross ingest throughout the film. If that's not enough, Cap explicitly tells us that these are pills that he has seen Ross ingest throughout the film. Nothing comes from the discovery of these pills, other than another problem with the film. Well, that's not true. Nothing useful comes from the discovery of these pills. Sam gives them to his Navy SEAL friend to give to a guy who knows how to analyze pills to analyze the pills. In turn, the guy who knows how to analyze pills analyzes the pills and then calls Sam's Navy SEAL friend to tell him that the pills that he gave him to analyze are pure gamma radiation and that he should never give him any pills to analyze ever again because what the fuck, man, that was really not fucking cool. Once hanging up with the crybaby who analyzes pills, Sam's badass Navy SEAL friend walks off into the desert of Norfolk, Virginia, where he's stationed. You ever been to Norfolk, Virginia? Yeah, whatever. As he announces to himself that he needs to let Sam know, he is confronted by Stearns. Stearns, utilizing some type of dial device, explains that he has immobilized Sam's gorgeous Navy SEAL friend with it, and once he turns the dial higher, it will turn off his brain, and he doesn't want to do it, but he has to because he can't let Sam know that why the fuck are you doing this to us? We know that Ross is taking these pills, and since they were in Brainiac's lab, we can infer that he is manipulating them in some way. That's it, that's all. Hey look, I just saved you 10 minutes that none of us will ever get back. And by the way, why is it when Stearns had Wilson standing in front of him 10 minutes after this hunka burning Navy SEAL death scene?
This sound is currently affecting your equilibrium.
Didn't he use the device on Sam?
You ruined my grand finale on the Indian Ocean.
So now I'm forced to turn myself in to get what I want.
The argument, of course, will be that he didn't want Sam dead because his ultimate plan was something that included something Captain America something. Except this film has spent the whole 90 previous minutes trying to convince us that everything that has happened has only happened because Stearns is so smart he can see every outcome. I'm not that smart, but even I can tell you that Captain America is the one that will ruin your stupid fucking plan in the end of this Captain America film. And also, by the way, if he can predict everything, control minds, create Hulks, etc., shouldn't Ross have used him to defeat, I don't know, Thanos, the Avengers, Ultron? Was he seriously just using him to enact his 16-year plan to become President of the United States? Smartest man in the world, my ass. Somewhere amongst the nonsense with the pills and the beautiful, gorgeous, handsome, brave Navy SEAL friend of Sam's, the Japanese president receives proof from an unknown source that Ross was working to double-cross the other countries and steal the adamantium for himself.
I know who did it. You do?
Guys, it's happening. After nearly 5 years, the corpse of the Celestial, stranded in the middle of the Indian Ocean, will finally have its time to shine. As a standoff has erupted between the US and Japanese navies. Both threaten hostile actions if control of the corpse of the Celestial stranded in the middle of the Indian Ocean isn't turned over to the other. In response to these escalating tensions, President Ross immediately boards Air Force One and heads off to the potential war zone.
I want to be en route to the Indian Ocean within the hour.
Mr. President, this is extreme.
Like a wartime general. I'm a wartime president.
Why did Ross go to a potential war zone? He's president of the U.S. Why on God's earth would the writer think that this made any sense at all? Of course, we know it's because we need him there to Hawk out for the finale, except it doesn't even happen there. So he's literally just there to run what turns into a combat operation from a warship. He's the President of the United States of America. And now you can't even use your contrived excuse of, well, we need him there for the plot. Running from the White House. Obama did it. So can you.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
Holy. So dumb. Yeah, so a dogfight breaks out because the U.S. pilots are mind-controlled because why not? And they fire on the Japanese Navy. Don't worry though, war is averted because Captain America and Falcon disable the US fighters, safely bringing them down. The Japanese president sees Cap do this, and despite knowing that Sam and Ross are adversarial at best, decides that they must now be working together, and that just makes things A-OK. Phew! That was close. Unfortunately, during the course of the dogfight, Falcon gets blown up by a missile and falls into the ocean, where his floaty pops open and there are absolutely no consequences whatsoever. Back at the White House, Ross is holding yet another press conference, once again stating that they are signing a treaty. In what continues to be a film full of the worst timing known to man, President Ross, to nobody's surprise, transforms into the Hulk. Except red. Commence bad CGI Hulk. Commence bad CGI fight. And commence, who could forget, bad CGI cherry blossoms.
Well, I know you've done some terrible things.
Well, what a waste. Wouldn't it have been so much more interesting of a film to delve into what it means for Ross, a man that hates the Hulk, who has spent his life trying to capture or kill him, to turn into the very thing he hates? Fuck. Should've just rewatched Air Force One.